You are watching The Guy Dawson Show at the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM.com. So we're at WCOBM.com, and then we're all over the place now, Corintha.
Yes, we are. We are on YouTube. Please subscribe to our channel. We would love to have more subscribers there. We're on Facebook. We're on all social media platforms. And we just found out recently that people are watching us on Hulu and Sling now.
Yes, I don't know. Boy, you must be making us famous, because now, ever since you came here, now all of a sudden we're all over the place.
I know, he wasn't even on Snapchat yet.
So please tune in. We also have a YouTube page for the World Center of Broadcast Media. You can go to the website, WCOBM.com, to see that page. And, yeah, check us out. You can binge watch. And
yes. Could binge watch The Guy Dawson Show. He's got a lot of material. Like, what, 2 years?
Yeah. Lots of shows out there for you to check out. And Oja is in the studio today, a friend of Corintha's, and I want you to do the introduction, Corintha.
All right. So I'm not going to butcher that name. But Oja's here to talk to us about a very special project going on in Haiti. It's going on right now, right?
Yeah,
Where they're basically, it's an Earthship-inspired project.
That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a community center, also a theater, amphitheater, so it's a hybrid Earthship, which may seem complicated for the lay listener, but Earthship Biotexture is a company that comes out of Taos, New Mexico, and they started doing their building method, which is called Earthship Biotexture, in 1969, so they've been evolving since. It is a for-profit company. And they got involved with kind of our grassroots crew, which is just a group of individuals. We actually have one small nonprofit involved, which is called Indie Convergence. It is a couple out of Indiana who deals with theater and bringing international theater artists to Indianapolis. So they were involved in the project. A friend of mine who I met in Haiti post-earthquake, Marita Mariasine, basically brought the technology to Haiti by letting Earthship Biotexture know that the community wanted their form of building as a solution to rebuilding post-earthquake. So in 2011, the crew rushed down there, Earthship Biotexture I'm referring to, and staged a build of a prototype in Pétionville, which is part of Port-au-Prince. Later, Marita was able to bring the technology to a different community, which is where we're now building. It's in Aubin, which is outside of the city of Jacmel, that's in the southern part of Haiti. I don't know if the pictures are playing at the bottom of the screen now, but if you see the map of Haiti, it is at the eastern end of the western peninsula, southwestern peninsula in Haiti. So Haiti is situated between Cuba in the north and Jamaica in the south, and Jacmel would be closer to Jamaica in the bottom there. So story is, in 2013, due to the influx of people coming to Haiti from all around the world to help out, in a lot of cases people have done really good work, but there were a lot of cases where money went missing from organizations like the Red Cross, for example, and other organizations that more or less took money out of one pocket and put it in the other and had people texting, and it never reached Haitians. So with the Earthship Biotexture crew and a nonprofit that was in Port-au-Prince, they built a model, but still it wasn't accessible to the Haitian people. For example, that model is now being Airbnb'd for $60 US a night. So it's not exactly accessible to Haitians that are below the poverty line, which is the majority of people in their nation. So Marita saw this next project, which was a situation of more or less what you would look at as gentrification, right? Because the more people that came from the States, the more landlords were pushing up prices. So it was an existing community center, but they lost their space due to a rent hike because so many people were coming in to help. So this is one of the unknown, kind of lesser known things that happen in disaster relief, specifically in Haiti. That is a huge problem. So the head of the football team, the football coach who lived next door and had land there, local resident, his name is Didonier Cyprien, affectionately called John, right? So he's like, just call me John, so he's known as John the Don, And soccer coach of all these kids who were also at the time learning karate, also learning English, also learning core resume building skills at a very low price, 250 goods a month, which is very, very low in comparison to the privatized school Even public school is kind of privatized in Haiti, just as it is in, say, Chile or many other places around South America. So this was a way for kids who were not presently in school or either in that community and surrounding communities that were in school, but also have responsibilities with younger siblings and things like that. A lot of people had lost the matriarch of the family and whatnot. This is a place for people to come and do something constructive, and they lost the space because of these rent hikes. So John effectively donated a piece of his own land, his family's land, next door, up the hill, in the foothills there before you get to the mountains, and specifically requested to have structure built in the manner of Earthship Biotexture. So he went to Merida, and Merida kind of reached out to me because my situation is that I had rushed to Haiti like a lot of other diaspora. My parents are both Haitian. They're both born in Haiti and came in the 60s and met in Brooklyn, and I'm born in New York. But when this thing happened, I hadn't returned back to Haiti as an adult. I'd only been there at the age of 3. But I knew I had to do something because people all over the world were getting up and trying to go do something for Haiti. In a lot of ways, it was hurting as well as helping, So I think it was really, and still is, really primarily the job of the diaspora, to return home and work not to help Haitians there in a kind of paternalistic way, but to collaborate, skill share, and co-create, more so each one teach one, and we learn as much as we teach every single time. So that's kind of how the project came about.
These are the things that happen beyond the hype.
Yeah.
Because what happens is you have this major. It was an earthquake, right, in Haiti. And by the way, I donated some money to the Red Cross to go to that. That's another story altogether.
Segment, yeah.
But you have all this hype behind these natural disasters, and everyone's all excited, and it becomes a big thing in the media for a little while, and then it fades, and there's always an aftermath.
Yeah.
And for me, it's wonderful to hear that people stay the course, that there is someone that goes in after all the excitement and hype leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real. It's a protracted struggle. In the words of Grace Lee Boggs, a great activist from Detroit. God rest his soul and everything. But this is not a 1 year, 5 year commitment. This is really kind of like lifetime work. And the thing about it is that when people come and get involved and volunteer, and we all go on our own dime, there are some avenues now. That small nonprofit I talked about is actually a fiscal sponsor. For me particularly and for our crew, but it's like when you get involved and go there and you learn something around this type of construction, you can bring that education back and use it here. I mean, for example, here we're in Las Vegas, it's a desert, so the water catchment, water filtration aspect of Earthship Biotexture building is definitely applicable right here. The reuse of water. So there are basically Earthship Biotexture is a way to build. It's not one structure, right? So the way to build is kind of constituted by 6 principles. It's utilizing recycled materials, which is we primarily use tires, right? I see you guys got some tires outside here today.
Oh yes, lots of tires at the Gene Woods Racing.
Right. So we use used tires, which have already off-gassed, right? Already been used. Treads are used up and whatnot, and we will compact earth into those tires to create earth bricks, right? These earth bricks end up being anywhere from 300 to 400 pounds after they're packed with earth. So now we're talking about physics, straight physics. We're talking about thermal mass. So thermal mass provides insulation. It will absorb heat. I'm not going to go into the cold part because we're in Vegas and we're talking about Haiti, so the cold weather doesn't really apply. But they do also insulate against cold. So we use the tires, we use bottles, plastic bottles, which just end up in the ocean and really never go away, right? A lot of people think you can recycle, but really what you're doing is decycling. So if you take a pen and you recycle it, they're only going to be able to come out with something about as thin as this. The next level down, they can't come out with the same level of plastic, right? So plastic never goes away. It ends up in the fish. People are getting sick, the whole nine. There's a great documentary called, I think it's called Plastic Ocean, that could show you how deep the crisis really is right now. As well as glass bottles, and we make like a stained glass with that. It's really beautiful, and cans, in which we use to cut down the amount of concrete we're using. We do can walls that are going to be kind of hexagonal, hive style formations and triangles. If you look closer, kind of like a basketball defense, if you will. The strongest geometric shape is a triangle, so we build in triangles with these cans and use up just enough space to save on the materials for concrete. So you have recycled materials, catching and filtrating water, creating energy through the sun and the wind, and or both, treating and containing your own sewage on site as to not contaminate groundwater, which is a huge thing that a lot of people overlook, and then also passive heating and cooling, right? So we don't use machines for AC, we use convection, we use physical properties. And then, what did I say? And growing food. So these things also grow food in the system. So that's what constitutes an Earthship. This particular project is an amphitheater in the center. It's a new prototype. And then it's 2 classrooms. And we return every year, perennially around February for about 2 months at the speed of the community, right? Because the money's not there to really just go in and hit it one time and finish. So what that does is actually increases community ownership and involvement. And it's a totally Haitian committee that yays or nays everything that comes in. So it's really the right way to do community work overseas and build global community in general. You know? Yeah.
Do you is there an estimated sort of, time or year of completion that you guys are looking at right now?
Yeah, it looks like it's going to take about 2 more years. Now that is contingent on how much we can raise for materials and people that are trying to go. It's basically pay your own dime, raise your own money. Up until now, I've just been like working, then go and work free for 2 months and come back, started to work. So this year I'm trying to kind of do it a little bit differently with Indie Convergence as a sponsor. I'm kind of asking people to switch whatever you've been donating to for a tax cut this year and maybe donate to this project, and you'll still get your tax cut for donating to 501c3, and you're directly helping the situation, and in which case also you're invited to come through, check it out, and volunteer yourself. So.
How do folks get a hold of you if they want to donate, if they want to support? Okay,
people can email me directly at sunchild781@gmail.com. That's SUNCHILD 781@gmail. Also ACD Media, that's my partner and I's collective, at gmail.com. You can just send an inquiry email there. But if you want to donate directly, you can go directly to Indie Convergence, INDY Convergence.org, and go to the Donate Now tab, and then specify that it's for an international artist and that it's for Oja specifically, and that will help me get there to actually do the hands-on heavy lifting work along with the community and other foreign volunteers to make it happen.
Yeah,
Awesome.
You're creating a sustainable community.
Yeah, exactly.
How's the community responding to the experiments that you're doing?
As it's coming along, there's more and more interest. At first, people were kind of like, I don't really get it, that weren't directly involved volunteering. But the fact is that there's a lot of youth who were involved in previous programs from the existing community center that were spreading interest in the community, as well as Marita, who I mentioned, who put me on to the method and really made it easier for me to go to school out in Taos. That's where Earthship Biotech is headquartered. She's a social producer extraordinaire, so she is always promoting, always going from community to community, talking to construction collectives. There's a collective called Arteco in Jacmel, which is engineers, construction workers, architects, and the like. And they come through, and ask their questions. So different groups will come through from around Haiti, not only the community there, but the community is very excited, and all ages. There's old women that come in there and pound tires and
What?
Really?
get involved. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
it's
I saw
incredible.
the picture.
And what actually happens is, you have certain aspects of the community and certain kind of like stereotypes in the community crumbling because of that. Because a lot of the young guys are like, oh yeah, right, this old lady's gonna come do something, and then she'll come in, or the next woman, So it's a way that everybody's learning together, even inside the community. There's so many levels
Engagement. Yeah. When you start doing things that make people improve their lives, they want to engage. They want to be a part of it.
No question. No question.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you foresee more sustainable building happening here in the U.S.? Because I feel like
I do.
That's the building of the future.
Oh yeah.
For
it
us
is,
here.
I don't want anybody to think that Earthship is the end all and be all, right? It's a good foundation. It's a good place to learn these principles, but the real genius of it is that it's kind of modular. Like, you can take these principles and apply one or two of them, and the reality is that we're not going to be bulldozing every building that exists. We're going to be doing a lot of retrofitting, right? So the existing buildings, the question is, how do we switch those systems over, and how do we apply that information? That's already happening at an alarming rate. But there's so many other things. It's Earthship, but there's Cobb, there's the Earth Bag, and at the essence of it is really paying attention to the environment, and really especially the community, right? So you want to make whatever you're building serve the community you're building in, the culture, the community culture, the environmental culture, and these structures are way better to the earth, so it is really kind of a paradigm shift that everybody really needs to jump on, because we're in a state of crisis that's undeniable at this point on the planet.
Oh, absolutely. I'm just thinking about water in general. And I mean, what happened in Flint, that's not something that, I don't think that's the first instance of that happening. And clearly we can't rely on our government to even provide us with clean water anymore. And Flint proved that. Those guys are now, being charged with murder. That leadership up there. So clearly, it's going to be up to us to figure out, okay, how do we get clean water into our houses, and what are better ways to go about this, Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm open if anybody, the information I gave, if anybody has any questions or wants to know where to go to get more information. I mean, there are things on my Facebook page. There is a Sakalaka Well Facebook page. It's really more geared towards local people in Haiti, but you will find photos of what's going on. So we haven't built a site for the U.S. There's a site for people in Haiti and around Haiti to get involved, but we haven't built a U.S. side website specifically for this project, and it won't be the last, and I'm looking forward to one day applying the knowledge for my own personal home, but also for other people in the community. And Las Vegas seems like a rational place to start some of that out here in the desert. So.
Oh, absolutely. Just water alone. Some kind of water
big
system.
Big issue here in Las Vegas, because you realize we live in this valley that was basically home to natives. And now we have 2 million people who are living here, and we have less water than we had when it was just purely a native community. So we've got huge issues potentially in this town when it comes to water.
When you go out to Springs Preserve, it's so funny because they have like a fake, like almost like a false, what it would have looked like many years ago. And then they go through the history of why did people come to the Las Vegas Valley, and it was because they had those springs here with water, and it's it's intense.
I mean, I guess on the upside, we're always really super optimistic. You have to be to do this kind of work for the long haul. But I mean, basically, there's it's supposed to be an especially wet year for the desert, over here this year.
Is it? It was, it was actually pretty wet last year too.
So if we can catch some of that water and infiltrate it, would be good. There is another Facebook page I want to mention real quick. It's called Sustainable Buildings in Haiti. And you can catch some more information there. It is, again, mostly designed as a forum for Haitians, by Haitians, and things like that, to share information, but find more information there. My Facebook page is connected to all of those,
Yeah, there are so many people in this world who are doing all kinds of great works, and they don't necessarily get publicity for the things that they're doing or notoriety, and I know that that's not why they do it. But one of the reasons why this show exists is to give them notoriety anyway, even if they want it or not, because when you're contributing to mankind, this show's all about empowerment, and I feel like you're certainly empowering a lot of people, creating a sustainable community in Haiti.
Oh, well, thank you. And the community empowers me, so a special shout out to Sakalaka Well the whole crew, especially Marita Mariasan and Didonye Supuen. Thank you.
All right. Well, Queen of All Media, Corintha, thank you for being my co-hostess.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad we're officially back and that we could kick things off with two fabulous guests today.
Yeah.
High energy, and thank you for tuning into this week's edition of The Guy Dawson Show. We will be back in 1 week. Take care of yourselves.